Hi, everybody. Happy to have you here with me tonight in the locker room. I'm Alan Locher, and I am thrilled to welcome back two-time Emmy winner Mike Manning. Mike has charmed audiences on Beyond the Gates, Days of Our Lives, and The Bay, and he is now stepping into a brand new adventure with his latest feature film, Unexpected Treasures, which hits Prime Video and Apple TV Plus on Thursday, September 19th. Tonight, we will hear about what drew Mike to this quirky role, behind-the-scenes stories from filming in Yucca Valley, and why this feel-good indie is the perfect popcorn movie for the fall. We will also get an update on fan favorite Smitty and what's next for Beyond the Gates, which just celebrated in July its 100th episode. So let's get started, and please welcome Mike Manning back to the locker room.
Hey, Mike. Everybody. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Congrats on the film. It is so fun.
Yeah, it is. It's quirky. It's like an adventure movie. It's a feel-good movie, which I think we could certainly use more of right now with the world today. So yeah, it was a good time.
That's an understatement. What was it like having it premiere at San Diego's Comic-Con?
So Comic-Con, I first went to Comic-Con 7 or 8 years ago. It was right after I did Teen Wolf, and I was only in a few episodes of Teen Wolf, but they love Teen Wolf at Comic-Con for a number of years. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to go down there and see what it's all about. And I remember walking around and just loving it. It's like adult. It's like Halloween meets the entertainment industry meets my 7-year-old self reading comic books. It was fantastic. And I remember going to a bunch of panels and sitting in the audience saying, one day I want to be on a Comic-Con panel. Like one day, I don't know when, but it would mean a lot to me to speak on a Comic-Con panel. And then cut to April of 2024, we shoot Unexpected Treasures. And then a little over a year later, we premiere at Comic-Con in San Diego. And I got to speak on my panel at Comic-Con, and it was a dream come true.
That's incredible. I love that. Well, what drew you to Unexpected Treasures? Was it the role, the message?
Both of those things. I think the idea of playing an alien was really cool. I've never played an alien before. The idea of having superpowers. He has telepathy powers. Also, my nerd 7-year-old self was really excited about that. And just the story in itself. Sam, in the movie, Sam escapes captivity. He's an alien and he is looking for his spaceship. And Sam is very optimistic. He's a sweetheart. He's very hopeful. He runs into Hartley, played by Olivia Blue. And she plays a Joshua Tree local. She's really down on her luck. She's rough around the edges, and she's stuck in a rut. And they meet each other and on this sort of crash course, and she decides to help him get back to his spaceship. And by the end of the movie, ironically, it takes an alien to restore this woman's faith in humanity.
That's amazing. Speaking of that 7-year-old self, was there a superpower you always wanted as a kid?
Oh, not always wanted, still want. I want telekinesis. I want like Jean Grey telekinesis, move everything with my mind, not have to lift a finger, but without the Phoenix. I don't want the crazy part of Jean Grey, but I would like everything else.
That's great. That's great. Tell me what it was like filming in Joshua Tree, and I understand. I mean, you spend a lot of time there outside of movie making and TV making, right?
Yeah, I actually have an Airbnb property. We own a property in Joshua Tree, and then we Airbnb it out when we're not there. But it was really during COVID that we couldn't really fly on a plane, and we started spending time in Joshua Tree because you can drive there. And I fell in love with the desert. There's sort of this mysticism and extraterrestrial mythology in the area, dating back to actually in the movie. The movie is loosely based on the story of George Van Tassel in the 1950s, who talked about meeting beings from Venus in Joshua Tree, they came down and they gave him this secret technology. And so in Unexpected Treasures, some of the alien mythology is based on George Van Tassel. But you'll see if anybody watching, when they watch the movie, there's a handful of characters in the movie that are not really actors. They're just themselves, and they truly live like that in Joshua Tree, which is bizarre and crazy and cool and quirky. And there is really a special charm about the Joshua Tree community, not just around aliens and that all of that extraterrestrial mythology, but just in and of itself. And you feel it when you go there, and you're walking around the desert and the sun's going down. It's a beautiful sunset, and there's a desert breeze, hitting your face, and you look up and you see more stars than you've ever seen in your entire life. You see the Milky Way galaxy. You see, it's just everything. And you can't help but sort of fall in love with those moments when you're there.
Did you have any pull in having the film shot there, or was that just coincidence?
It was coincidence. It was a happy accident. We shot in April of 2024, so I spent my birthday there, and it was great. It was also like we all came together in this weird little desert summer camp, and we just happened to make a movie. It's very community focused.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Love that. Well, tell us about, you share a birthday with my nephew and many friends, April 12th.
April 12th. Yeah. Aries. And then I say that to some people and they say, oh yeah, that makes sense. And I say that to other people and they say, oh yeah, that makes sense.
What makes Aliens Among Us movies timeless, and why Unexpected Treasures will delight audiences of all ages?
Unexpected Treasures, I think, really pays homage to the fun adventure and or alien movies of like the 1980s, right? So you have E.T., classic Spielberg. You have Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You have Cocoon. You have not Alien, but adventure. You have The Goonies. So it's really, if somebody's watching this movie and they're expecting Alien, or they're expecting, something scary like that, that's not this movie at all. This movie is very much like a feel-good adventure, quirky, and there's also a lot of dramatic elements in it too, which I was surprised when I watched the movie that there are moments that are very character-driven and very dramatic, specifically between Hartley and her mother. There's some unresolved issues there, and so they really get into that. And so this is very much just as much a character exploration piece as it is a quirky sci-fi kind of movie.
Well, you spend a lot of the movie with Olivia Blue. What was it like working with her?
She was great to work with, and we really had a great time together. There were a few days where we had to when you meet somebody and your sense of humor is just the same and you kind of vibe, it's hard to not laugh, especially when you're not supposed to laugh. So there were a few scenes that we had to, we messed up on it because we couldn't stop laughing, and we would make inside jokes and everything else. But yeah, we got to know each other pretty quickly and pretty well because, as you said, when you're alone in the desert and most of
alone in the love bug.
In the love bug, that awesome love bug. We're alone in the love bug, and we're making a little alien movie, and
some people call it a punch bug, right? Punch bug too.
Oh yeah. My little brother and I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, and see them on the highway.
It's one punch for the punch buggy, and then it's two punches for the bus, the
van.
Bus.
The
van. Yeah, the van. You did. Yeah,
I totally forgot there. If there was one sci-fi space film from your childhood that you could, recreate a role in for yourself, what film is that?
Oof. Oh, that's such a great question. Let's see. I really loved, E.T. was one of the movies that I saw, and my jaw was just on the floor the entire movie. The Spielberg's capacity to build worlds that you just want to live in and stay in forever is amazing. It's not a surprise that he's one of the most renowned directors in the world. And so I think probably E.T. Maybe if I'm young enough at the time, I'd be Elliot. If I'm older, I'd be the older brother. I think E.T. would be fantastic. Or Cocoon. I remember watching Cocoon a bunch with my dad, and that was great. I actually got to work with Brian Dennehy before he passed away on a movie called Folk Hero and Funny Guy, and that was really something special, because I just remember growing up watching Brian Dennehy and loving his work. It would probably be one of those. And then I also, contrary to this film, I do love science fiction when it has a horror element. So being in the OG Alien movie on the spaceship, trying to fight my way away from a xenomorph with Ripley right there, I would kind of love that as well.
Have you tuned into Alien Earth on Hulu yet?
Absolutely. And I think for television, it is so incredibly well done.
Yeah, we're probably 3 or 4 maybe in. I mean, it's pretty good.
It's very good. And I was reading an interview with Sigourney Weaver talking about it, and she's like, it is amazing to me how they captured the themes of the original Alien with like the greed, the corporate greed that goes along with everybody's put in harm's way because the company is trying to get this alien back as a tool or a weapon or whatever their purposes are. And they basically, use the crew as bait to multiply these aliens, and then they implant their true directive into the cyborg who,
and it
betrays everybody, and it's full of terror and it's just, but at the end of the movie, you think to yourself, who is the real monster here? And I think that the series does a really great job of that. And it was genius for the series to make some of the strongest characters have the minds and the innocence of children.
Yeah.
So that they could figure it out along with the audience. It was brilliant. It was great.
Agreed. You've consistently used your platform to shine a light on important causes. You were just in Florida for Samantha's Friends. Do you remember the first time you felt compelled to speak up or, platform important causes and what inspired you early on?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just grew up with it is the short answer. I remember doing church bake sales with my mom when I was 7 years old.
I love that.
And in high school, I was a part of every club you could imagine. I was a part of Honor Society and Spanish Honor Society and student government and the Red Cross Youth Corps and my church youth group. And I just, it not only makes you feel good, but I think that's sort of, if not to help other people and to sort of make this world a better place, like, why are we even here? My grandfather was a Boy Scout master, and he would always, say, whether it was a campsite or whether it was a relationship or whether it was a situation or whether it was your bedroom, you leave things better than you found them. You leave everything better than you found it. And those are words I try to live by.
Love that. Really love that. I was asking Gregory Martin, what's going on with the Bay? And he said it's going to celebrate 15 years. You have played Caleb McKinnon. What has it meant to be a part of that series? I mean, that is a long time.
The Bay has done so much for me because, not only has it been a consistent character that I've been able to play over the years, and I truly have fallen in love with playing Caleb McKinnon, and fallen in love with the type of representation that playing Caleb has afforded me. For people watching that maybe haven't seen The Bay, I joined in season 5, and then in season 6, Caleb marries Daniel, who's his best friend. And in the end of the season, they have this beautiful wedding. And then in season 7, they go to Puerto Rico because, like any good drama, Daniel is kidnapped, and Caleb has to track him down in Puerto Rico. And we shot in Italy for one of the seasons, and it's just been a lot of fun. And I won a supporting actor daytime Emmy for playing Caleb, and it was for that wedding scene, in my opinion, because that was the majority of my
What you
submission
submitted.
was that wedding scene. And so to have to be creating material that you care about so much and creating the type of representation that you care about so much, and then also to be recognized for it by your peers and by the industry with a golden statue, that is pretty cool. And because of that, I'll be forever grateful to Gregory and to everybody involved with the Bay.
And it, you know, talking about representation, I mean, we are living in some scary times. So the fact that you have that platform, and you know, we'll be talking about Smitty shortly, but I mean, you really are making a mark, you know, for our community and for others who may not know another, you know, gay person in the world.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so. I think that's why television and movies have such a power to impact people and to open their eyes to new ways of thinking and being. With TV, people are inviting you into their living rooms and into their homes to watch with their families or by themselves. You know, with movie theaters, they're in a dark theater with you have their undivided attention for 2 or 3 hours, which never happens, especially when we're all attached to our phones and social media. So it's really powerful, and certain types of representation may be the only time that somebody in Ohio or in the middle of nowhere in Maine, or, you know, certain parts of the country, that might be the only exposure to a gay person that they have. And so if there's, and I said this in my Emmy acceptance speech, I said, if there is one young person who is questioning themselves, who is very, very scared that they don't feel the same way as their friends as they're growing up, if they're attracted to the same sex and they're questioning everything and they feel like it's going to derail their entire life, or their entire life, if that person feels, after watching the show, seeing that wedding scene, if that person is shown that experience and feels like they are worth the same, you know, regardless of who they're attracted to, and worthy of the same love, then then that makes it all worth it. And we did our jobs.
Where did you see that growing up? Where did you see yourself?
Oof, Alan, hitting with the hard questions. You know what? To be honest with you, I didn't see that growing up.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't. Yeah,
you're much younger than me, but I don't know that you really, because I didn't. You know, speaking of Ohio, I am speaking at a pop culture thing at Bowling Green University at the end of October about soap operas. And for me, As the World Turns in 1988, I was 22, and that, you know, that was probably the first time I saw somebody.
Wow.
You know,
Wow. Yeah. I won't tell you how old I was in 1988, but I certainly wasn't.
Don't be mean now.
I'm not being mean. No, but you're right though. It's crazy that moment stuck with you, in terms of, I watched this and it helped me realize that I wasn't alone in the world, and that, you know, that type of representation, like, and everybody, there are so many moments. When I came out on Real World, in 2010, I was on MTV's Real World DC, and I came out on the show. And back then I didn't have, you know, private social media, and I didn't have a private Facebook. And I was a little naive because I had never seen the show before. I actually followed one of my friends to help him get on the show at a random open casting call in Colorado. And I tried to help him get on the show. And then, you know, the classic Hollywood story, the casting director, they picked me. I was on the show, and I went back and I was finishing my last semester of college in Colorado, thinking that life would go back to normal, and the show started airing. And back then, this was 2010, this was right when Jersey Shore was starting to air. And this was before, I think maybe Glee, this is the same year Glee started airing, before Modern Family, before, you know, all of these other shows that I think helped shift the zeitgeist towards understanding for the LGBTQ plus community. And so I received, when I came out on the show and it started airing, I received thousands and thousands and thousands of letters saying, thank you for being true to who you were on television. I've never seen representation quite like this, or I've never connected with a character quite like, you know, I'm seeing in you on this show. And at first I was like, what are they even talking about? I'm just me. Like, I'm just an average person. And I just was honest about who I was on the show. Like I didn't do anything special. And after reading all these letters, I mean, you know, as many as I could, I was like, oh my God, like there is such a lack of representation around the world, and people are hungry for this. People need characters like this. And then after that, luckily, obviously Hollywood caught up, and now we had plenty of amazing stories, and it's much, much, much easier to come out and to live your truth nowadays. You know, for me, it was easier than it probably was for you. And it's not lost on me that the rights that I had growing up were created and carried on the shoulders of you know, people that came before me that fought for them. Some of them died for those rights. It wasn't too long ago that you could be killed, fired, awful things just for being gay, and there was no recourse for that. So I don't take it for granted. And that is why, you know, whether it's acting or whether it's through my production company, and, you know, I produce, a handful of movies, maybe like 2 movies a year. I try to tell stories that are in the same vein of what we're talking about, stories that push boundaries, stories that break stereotypes, and stories that allow for the type of representation that we're talking about.
So true. You know, people still ask, you know, when you meet somebody and you talk about being gay, like for me, like people will say, you know, when did you know? I don't think there's a moment, because of the fact of what you're speaking about. There was nothing for me to say, I'm like him, you know, I'm like Mike Manning, who came out on, you know, The Real World. It just wasn't in the 80s when I, you know, was a teenager, didn't exist. So it's hard to say you are this or that when you have nothing to point to. And now we are really lucky, and I hope we really do not go backwards. And thank God there's Smitty and Martin on Beyond the Gates, which just celebrated 100 episodes in July, which is incredible. I think today might have been 130 or 131 on the air. What has it meant? I mean, last time we were together in June, just before during Pride Month, it was just about to come out of Martin's past and Smitty learning all of that. And it has been incredible to watch that journey for the two of you. Has it been for you as well, playing it?
Yes, it has been. It's been so incredible. And I love the way that the reveal happened, because for a long time, the Twitter soap fans were not very happy with how cold Smitty and Martin were to each other. And then especially there was like a hashtag Team Smitty going on for a little while when Martin was lying to Smitty, and everybody knew it and Smitty knew it. But then when the truth is revealed, just how bad that experience was for Martin, and what he went through, and that horrible night. It didn't really justify why he lied to Smitty so much. And why he put the kids in danger, and that's why Smitty was so angry about it. It wasn't what happened; it was putting the kids in danger because he was unwilling to share the truth with Smitty. So in his mind, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But I think also what it did is showing just how awful the situation was that Martin had to go through and cope with for so long. It gave the audience a lot of empathy for Martin, and it really showed why they were so cold to each other and why they had to keep all those secrets. And now we are in the rebuilding phase currently on the show. We're seeing them sort of find their way back together. And we got
a little hot action last week.
Oh yeah, we did. They're finding their way back together in more ways than one.
Exactly.
Thank you CBS for giving us a little
Yes,
show of what happens in the bedroom between them.
between two men. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, that is a big deal that it was on the air. And I mean,
Absolutely.
we shouldn't feel that way, but on a CBS soap, it is. Trust me, I know that.
Yeah, it's a
Having
big
worked
deal,
on
and
them.
I am so grateful for Michelle Valjean and for Sheila Ducksworth at CBS, and for Julie Carruthers, who's sort of running the show on set here in Atlanta, and everybody else involved with the show, all the other writers, all the other producers, because they are really doing a great job in showing this family, this Richardson Smith family, Smitty and Martin and their kids. In some ways, they're the family that's everybody's rooting for, and they're the most, aside from once they rebuild, hopefully no spoilers, but in some ways they're the most stable family on the show, and they're the most, one of the most loving families on the show. And so to say in 2025 that on a television network show like CBS, that one of the most stable, loving families on a daytime drama is a family that consists of two men married with two adopted kids, and the marriage is biracial, and he's a congressman, and he's investigative journalist, and the kids are teenagers. That's crazy. That's crazy. That was not, if you asked me a couple of years ago, that would have not been on my bingo card for 2024, 2025. And it is. And I think that people are loving it. People are of course, you're going to get the occasional, what is this? What is this? But as far as I can tell, there are so many people that have never watched a daytime soap before that are watching. There are people that have never seen representation like this that are watching and commenting and tweeting and loving it. And we're making history. The show's making history. We are making history by playing these characters. It's not lost on me how important that is. And I am just so incredibly grateful to be a part of it, and to have a seat at the table with a show like this.
I mean, it's not only what you're dealing with on air right now, you two rebuilding, the kids just finding their biological mother, dealing with their, like really dad stuff you're dealing with trust in a relationship. So many layers to it, that it really, really is great to see. And I loved, where Martin thought you two were getting back together because you jumped into the sheet. But that was a great, I mean, the fact that you just even spoke about that on air, we have needs, whether it's a man or a woman.
Yeah. They're allowing them to be real and raw and messy, as messy and dynamic as any straight relationship that we've been seeing since the 1950s. And that's what I think makes it special, is people are like, oh, wow, this is this relationship is just like any other relationship, but they happen to be two men. And that's sort of what I've tried to communicate for years and years, is like, look, LGBTQ relationships are based on love. They're based on wanting to find somebody that sees you and understands you. The world is hard enough to get through some days by yourself. Everybody could use somebody to lean on. And if it's a man, if it's a woman, if it's whomever, like, who cares? Relationships are built for the people that are in it. Who cares if you're not hurting anybody else? Who cares?
So true. Steed was asking, is there anything you'd like to see Smitty do in the future?
Ooh, okay, great question. I really loved when Smitty put on his glasses, his Clark Kent glasses, and was able to live in reporter mode for a little bit, meeting Jacob at the police station, and investigating people, and doing his research into Marcel Malone and everything else. I think that was a lot of fun for me, to ignite Smitty's journalism powers like that. And I would like to see more of that.
Jeffrey was asking, do you think you'll ever experience prejudice in Fairmont Crest? Because currently everyone is really accepting. And speaking of it, we talked about Martin's story. I thought that was a really, I mean, great reveal of what happened. Like we had no idea from the beginning.
Had no idea to have the reveal, to have two characters on two polar opposite sides of their marriage, and to have a secret in the middle. And there were so many fan theories. There were dozens and dozens and dozens of fan theories, and there were some that were close, but I didn't see at least any that were quite 100% correct. That nailed it. But when the reveal happened, it impacted every single person on the show, mostly in some way,
Right.
though. That it was every single Dupree it impacted. It impacted Martin's mother, Nicole, for not, she didn't know about it. His father, Ted, had to do facial reconstructive surgery on the racist guy before they shipped him off. And, the grandparents were the sort of the catalysts for wanting to keep the secret. And so there were so many comments on Twitter that were like, or on X, I keep saying Twitter, whatever. And Instagram and Facebook and all the places. That were like, bravo to the writers, bravo to the, the showrunners. Like, this is how a soap reveal is done. You sort of light the fuse and you watch the explosion and you watch the fallout. And it was really, really fun.
And that was true soap at its best, of a reveal, a story that, like you said, impacted everyone on the canvas. I mean, that is, when you hit it right, hit it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I love Smarty Gates is saying, can we expect Smitty to have family members introduced? That would be fun.
I would love to meet Smitty's family. That would be great, because who knows if they're accepting or if they're not accepting. Who knows what their background
accepting
is.
Of two things.
Yeah, of two things. I'll just say umbrella word accepting of his,
that really, they might accept one, they might not accept the other, or they might accept both, or accept
absolutely
neither.
And I've really enjoyed how Smitty, like you said, is accepted in Fairmont Crest, and their marriage is accepted. But Fairmont Crest isn't everywhere. And there may be people that come into Fairmont Crest that have different views, and it would be interesting to explore that. And that's also sort of reflective on the world we live in today. If you go to, New York or Los Angeles or Miami or Chicago or, Maine, some of these areas, basically the whole state of Maine, but just certain, if you go to these big cities, it's very easy living in these little bubbles, these little microcosms of acceptance, to forget that there are still very, very many places in this country where teenagers, young people are committing suicide because they can't come out to their parents, because they are not accepted in their communities, because their church shunned them. We talked about this earlier, when I came out to the world on Real World, I had some of my cousins reached out to me and said, I'm so sorry you're going to hell. And I'm so sorry that you chose this. And I'm so sorry you've had a wicked lifestyle and I never knew. And I'm ashamed to be related to you. I mean, there were some pretty awful things that were said to me when I came out living my truth for the first time in my life. And that still exists. Yes, we've come a long way, but in some ways we really haven't. So I would, it would be interesting to explore that.
Have they changed their tune?
Most of them, yes. Some of them we don't talk, so I don't know how they feel now. It was one of those things where trying to maintain a relationship with them was taking away from my time and energy with the relationships that really do matter to me. So at some point I was like, you know what? You go your way, I'll go mine. But for the most part, my family and everyone in my life currently is very, very accepting and supportive.
As it should be. You just kicked off filming season 2, right?
Of Beyond the Gates?
Yeah.
Yeah. So year two. We
Year
just
two.
we
Yeah.
just started. Yeah, but it's the same animal. We just started last week. We shot episode 201,
Wow.
and this week we're into the 200 teens. So yeah, we're
You
off
are
to year
plowing
two, off to the
along,
races.
plowing
We are,
along.
and it's crazy. In some ways, it's crazy to think about. It seems
Yeah.
just
Is it
yes,
200? I
just
mean, the fact that you're,
it flew by. I mean, and I think a lot of it was the change that was associated with that. I moved to Atlanta from Los Angeles for this show, and so I moved. I had an apartment for a while because I didn't know where I wanted to live, and then literally my husband and I this week are moving into a condo. I mean, he's in Los Angeles with the dogs and everything else, and we bounce back and forth, but there's been a lot of change, and I think that always makes the time go by faster.
could you see that Atlanta being home permanently ever?
Um, Maybe. Right now I am lucky that I
Can be
can
bi-coastal.
be here and be bi-coastal.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. I mean, 85% of my time is here anyway. So I basically am, my primary residence basically is Atlanta, but I do try to bounce back to LA whenever I can.
What has anything surprised you about Atlanta?
Everything has surprised me. I mean, I had been here. I shot a couple episodes of Tyler Perry's The Haves and the Have-Nots years and years ago, and I have some friends here, so I've spent some time in Atlanta, but I never realized just how good the food was, the food scene, and the nightlife scene here. It's great. I think there are, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are 5 Michelin star restaurants in Atlanta,
Wow.
and I'm actually going to one of them tonight. So
Nice.
I'm very, very excited. I've never been to a Michelin star restaurant before,
Ooh,
so
okay.
I'm going tonight for the first time. So that's exciting, and I'm going to try to visit all 5 that are here in Atlanta, and then there are a dozen other restaurants that are where they employ Michelin star chefs. So those are very good, and I've eaten at a number of those. And then the nightlife, just going out. There's kind of something for everybody. There's an arcade bar where you play games, and there's the Painted Pickle where there's like pickleball courts everywhere, and there's darts, and there's cornhole, and there's you can have fun. That's more my speed. I would rather go to a bar and play games. And then on the other hand, you have nightclubs and with strobe lights and EDM music and like electronic music, and or there's like hip hop, or there's rock, or there's really something for everybody in Atlanta. And also the Beltline too. They just completed, or they're just completing this year, the Beltline that goes all the way around the city. So that's a brand new thing. That used to be that there was a portion of the city that was accessible to the Beltline, but now it goes all the way around, and it's great. It's this giant sidewalk where people will ride their bikes, they'll run, they'll walk their dogs, they'll uh, carry carry like glow sticks around and put on their rollerblades and go around and like rollerblade to disco music, like like we're back in whenever that was popular. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's very eclectic, just like Atlanta, and I'm falling in love with it.
That's awesome. You said 15 years since Real World.
Yes, 15 years since Real World.
What are you most
Yeah.
proud of in these last 15 years?
Oof. Wow, that's a very big. I'm proud of a lot of things, honestly. I'm proud of my family. I'm proud of my brother and his daughters. He just had his 3rd daughter. I'm proud of my sister and her daughter. I'm proud of the career that I've built and the fact that I've been able to. And obviously, you stumble along the way, you make mistakes along the way. But I can honestly say that I'm proud of the person that I am today, and I'm proud of my ability to now help others tell their stories and use my abilities and my whatever power I've been able to build for myself to try to help other voices and to tell other stories, and it feels really good to be able to say that.
I love that. If we were together 16 years from now, what would you hope you say you've achieved in
Oof.
that you
Oh,
haven't done yet?
oh
Something
yeah.
that you
No, great.
wanted.
No, I want an EGOT, baby.
There you go. For
I got
anyone
the
who
first.
doesn't know, that's
Yeah, I
Emmy,
want.
Grammy, Oscar, and a Tony.
Yeah, yeah, and
What?
I started in theater. Not many people know this, but I started in theater. I love theater. I've been doing it since I was, 12 or 13 years old. And so I think the Tony could maybe someday happen. I think the Oscar would just have to be the aligning of the stars. Um, right director, right story, right character. The Grammy, I'm not sure how that would happen. Not really
Spoken
sure,
word
but
album. Are you not confident in the singing ability?
Ask me in 16 years.
um, do you have a dream stage role you'd love to do since you love theater so much?
Oof. That's a great question. I remember I love musicals. Like I did Oliver, I did Secret Garden, I did Camelot. Um, I would love, if I were younger, something like Newsies or
I worked on
uh,
that film. That was
you worked
fun.
on, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
The
Doing
Christian
doing
Bale.
PR. I did PR for Newsies. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
My
Was it
my, my
fun?
little girl cousins never forget. Like I don't really remember because I worked on a lot of movies, but they all were like, "Yes, I have the soundtrack from you." I have.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow.
That was a
That must be so
great.
much fun.
I mean, it's amazing the cult thing that Newsies became because wasn't like a huge blockbuster film at the time. I don't remember it being, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really
No,
became much more popular with theater, I think.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Newsies would be phenomenal. Wicked, maybe like a little Fiero. Like,
I could see that in a heartbeat.
oh, I would love that. I would love that. Or what Jonathan Groff did in um,
Spring Awakening.
Hamilton. Well,
Oh, the thing.
Spring Awakening was phenomenal, and he was great. I mean, maybe Spring Awakening I could get away with, but what he did with as the king
Thing.
in Hamilton
Yeah.
was so incredibly funny. Any role in Hamilton, I would love to do. So, I mean, there are just tons. There are
I
tons.
have to admit, I'm very excited to see J-Lo do Kiss of the Spider Woman.
Yeah, I am too. I think J Lo, in some respects, has been underrated for a while,
I agree.
because she's seen as a pop star, but she's really taken some meaty roles over the course of her career that I think people don't quite give her enough credit for. So I'm curious to see what she does with this.
Same here. And I mean, I think I saw Vanessa Williams do it on Broadway decades ago. So very
Oh my
excited.
God, yeah, was it amazing?
Yeah, yeah. And
Great.
it's Rob Marshall, right? Isn't I think
I think
think
so.
so.
I think
Yeah,
so.
but
I think so.
it looks amazing, and supposedly, it got a standing ovation at Cannes, I believe, if that's the festival. Anyway, Mike, go enjoy your dinner tonight. Congratulations. Unexpected Treasures is out on Friday the 19th, Prime Video and Apple TV Plus.
Absolutely. Alan, thank you so much for the
Oh,
great questions. As always,
good
I
to see
really
you, my
enjoyed
friend.
this. And I hope everybody enjoys the movie Unexpected Treasures and Beyond the Gates and whatever comes next.
Absolutely. Be well, Mike. We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Again, Unexpected Treasures is out on Friday. And don't forget, Beyond the Gates airs weekdays on CBS and Paramount Plus. And don't miss next week's episode of The Locker Room on Wednesday, September 24th, where soap fans will join me to share their stories behind the names that they gave their kids, inspired by iconic characters and stars. You won't want to miss it. It's personal, nostalgic, and full of surprises. Before we wrap up, I also wanted to remind you about something new here in the Locker Room. We've just launched YouTube memberships. By clicking the join button, you'll not only get access to fun extras like Q&As with me, but a monthly rewind where we talk about all the soaps currently on the air and some of the ones no longer on the air. But you'll also be supporting the work I do to bring these guests and these conversations to life. And of course, everything you already enjoy will always remain free. I'd love to have you join the growing community inside the locker room. Have a great evening, everybody. I will see you next Wednesday, September 24th, for the baby naming episode. Have a great weekend, everybody. And as always, stay safe.